So Frost Nixon, it recounts the events of the interview with Richard Nixon and David Frost. At the time, David Frost was a relatively lightweight chat show host, and Richard Nixon recently retired from office, and is a disgraced former president, a lightweight chat show host, and it's kind of think of it as a modern day equivalent of Graham Norton interviewing Mahatma Gandhi.
What a silly analogy.
Yeah, so the subject matter is really interesting. I mean, Dan's back now. I mean, the subject matter, you thought the subject matter just going in was quite interesting, isn't it, Frost Nixon?
It is an interesting film.
And, you know, in that sense alone, it's good. And it's a well-constructed story by Ron Howard. By the end of it, you're genuinely tense whether this, like, tussle between these two people, both with their own agenda, which is going to succeed and things. And, you know, in that respect, it's a good film. A couple of problems with it, I must admit. It's not really sure what medium it's designed for. Play based on the real-life television incident, so it's got this kind of televisual theatre film thing going on, and it's not quite sure whether it wants to be grand and cinematic in cases. There's this kind of analogy with the boxing match to try and make it kind of seem grandiose, which did annoy me after a while, particularly at the point when you actually see Richard Nixon limbering up to like go to the interview. You're like, okay, it's like a boxing match, I get it, you don't actually have to show me, you're one step away from actually showing them box each other to show how much it's like a boxing match.
Yeah.
Don't need that. And also, like, it tries to be intimate and personal like the stage play, like the TV. And it does that by this faux documentary stuff, which bothered me after a while.
Okay.
Like, it keeps going to these fictional characters, obviously, based on real people, but fictional characters saying things to the camera like, you know, at the time I was thinking this, and now I'm thinking that. And, you know, all that did was remind me of how this isn't the real thing.
Yeah.
And I don't mind it not being the real thing, but don't allude to it being the real thing. So every time that came back, I went, oh, that thing again. Go away, please.
Yeah.
And, you know, so there's that. And there's also, like, it's not sure who to focus on quite, and there's some supporting characters that get left by the wayside.
Is it, like, biased between... Does it fall on the side of Frost, or does it fall on the side of Nixon, or does it try not...
It kind of says either or, really. I suppose if it does fall on anyone, it's Frost, and exposing Nixon, but
that's kind of the...
To
its
credit,
history, I suppose.
to its credit, it's more complicated than that.
Does it explain the backstory? Because that was one of the things that I think Dan was worried about. He said... It might just be about the event and say nothing really of what happened, what Watergate is, and all that.
It did kind of assume that you had a fairly deep
you had to know. If you've never heard of Watergate, you're gonna not know what it is still by the end of the film. Really, I would suggest.
Yeah, okay.
It alludes to it. I mean, you do have to, but in fairness to it, you don't need to know those things to enjoy it.
No.
So it's a good film. I'm not sure it's a terrific film. Is probably what I'd say, but you know, it's engaging, it's interesting, and it's politically aware, and it's a good couple of hours to spend that actually like balances between emotional and intellectual content. So thumbs up for it for that.